So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you through a few slides that cover ETIC. ETIC is it's an online course on ethical communication that we developed in partnership with a couple of other organizations in Europe back in 2020. And we got some funding last year to update it. So online courses, for those of you who've done online courses, they date very quickly. Well, we learned that. We put up material and then we were like, oh, that kind of looks like it's dated a bit. And so part of actually doing the updating was trying to future-proof content, which was kind of interesting. But yeah, we had this chance to update it, to upgrade it technologically, and also to update the content, refresh it. And what I'm going to talk about is just the process that we went through to do that updating, to do that refreshing, because it was quite interesting, quite rigorous. We learned a lot, and we think that ETIC 2.0, as we're calling it, has benefited from it. And it's not quite ready to go like public. We're going to be launching it in the autumn time, but it's there online already and ready to check out. So I have the link for you. But at the end of this presentation, I'll share the link and you can go on and have a look. And again, really keen to see how you find it. But let me share slides, and that will help me bring you through the journey. So we're calling it ETIC 2.0 because, like I said, there was ETIC 1.0. So ETIC version 1 launched in 2020, around that COVID time that Sal mentioned, and then ETIC 2.0 is the new version, the updated, refreshed version. So a little bit about ETIC for those of you who may not be so familiar with it. It's ostensibly a course, an online course in ethical communication. Its kind of audience is this is like, I'm not sure why this is clicking so fast, but its audience is, the audience is kind of younger people, 18 to 25 years old, but it works at different levels. So we know also from ETIC 1.0 that it will be interesting and is of interest to kind of non-educators working in different spheres, maybe community voluntary sector, or intercultural work and so on in Ireland, and who maybe are new to GCE or just have an general interest in the topics that ETIC covers. And then peripherally, it's interesting, and we know this also because it's been around for a couple of years, it's been interesting for educators looking for, like any resource that any of us produce, it's like, oh, let me have a look at that and see if there's any pedagogical inspiration in that for me. The course combines like lots of different bits. So there's quizzes, videos, questions, there's journaling and visual prompts. It's designed, it's less of a how to communicate ethically course and more of a course about building literacy, and literacy really here understood as the ability to decode and encode messages. So how am I reading the world around me? So it's a bit much broader. It's taking a very broad lens on communication. How am I reading the world around me, and how am I making messages about the world around me? So the decoding, the reading of the world, and then the encoding, the making of messages about that world. So it's a very broad lens on communication. And in this, awareness of self, so my position, my subjectivity, and my reading of things, and then also my capacity to expand and to think more critically about what's going on. These are the kind of the focuses of the, let's say, of the curriculum. This is the journey that it tries to take people on. There's 4 main themes. There's kind of a base theme that's around critical thinking, reflexivity, and there's 2 sessions that kind of open up the door to that, shifting perspectives, and one on beauty. Another theme is culture and power. So looking at who gets to communicate what, and cultural appreciation or cultural appropriation, these lines, this grayness, exploring the grayness between that and learning how to discern what is exchanging, what is connecting, and what is actually taking without asking and or using or appropriating insensitively. A third theme is volunteering and development. So there we're looking at kind of the way in which paradoxically helping can harm, and also looking at perspectives on global development and trying to kind of expand thinking around what development progress looks like, and what alternative perspectives how alternative perspectives can help us think differently about, I suppose, current mainstream models of progress and development. The last theme is digital literacy, and this was really significantly rewritten as part of the refresh. And the big new session is on algorithmic awareness. They're not very long sessions. There's 8 sessions in total, and each one takes about an hour and a half or 2 hours to go through. So, you could do an eight session course on algorithmic awareness, and we're very mindful of that. But it's just a little bit of an entry for people who are kind of haven't had the space or time or tools to think about the way their phone is working on them and working on the world. How to begin to think about that more critically. So you've algorithmic awareness and ethics of big tech, and then being smart about digital content, which is, again, getting familiar with the kind of content that's coming your way and what's making that content and what the implications of that content are for yourself and how you feel, and then also for the world around you and what's happening. So that's a kind of an overview of the course itself. It resembles pretty much in terms of the themes and the session topics, ETIC 1.0. So that's why I'm saying when we got funding last year to upgrade, to update, to refresh, we really were like working with what was already there, but trying to kind of refresh and strengthen and deepen what was there and make it even better, which is what the next slide is about, and what I thought was interesting to kind of share with you. A couple of the things about the partners, it's a Erasmus Plus funded project, and there's ourselves, Comhlámh, there's Zavod Voluntariat in Slovenia and INEX in Czech Republic, and both of those organizations, they would work with international volunteering and also work camps across Europe. So they're working with a lot of young people who are going on exchanges and engaged in kind of work camps and volunteering. So ETIC for them would be a big resource as part of their volunteer preparation. And then for Humanitas in Slovenia, they're a teacher training organization. Well, in the sense that they, I suppose, a bit like Worldwide Global Schools, maybe, they're working with teachers and trying to help them incorporate GCE into the curriculum or bring it in where they can in the classroom. So for them, ETIC is a little bit different. It's more like maybe a pedagogical resource for the teachers that they work with. So that's kind of ETIC in a nutshell. And like I said, yeah, with ETIC 2.0 and the funding last year, we got a chance to say, okay, how will we update? How will we refresh? How will we make this better? We knew from feedback from 2020 and 2021, 2022 that people, and it was piloted in 2020 as part of the initial development, we knew that people appreciated it. There was a kind of a strong appreciation for those that went through the course. I think because it went online during COVID, there was unusual, unexpected audiences for the course. So we had like occupational therapists, intercultural workers, people from different parts of Ireland writing to us saying, oh, we saw this and we did this and we wanted to give feedback because it was really helpful. So that was interesting. We kind of got we got that feedback, and also then had the sense that, okay, this course is obviously one that works at different levels. So that was something we wanted to mind. And then the other thing was, like I said, about things online quickly outdating. So as we were developing it, we were like, how can we future-proof this? I don't think a digital online course possibly they don't have huge lifespans. You are talking 2-3 years, unless it's something really, really base in terms of curriculum. And also given the speed of digital technology and innovations, and also every time I'm listening to the radio, I hear something new about algorithms, and I hear something new about digital technologies, and I'm like, oh, that has to go in the course. So it's so fast. But I think even if you're looking at like 2 to 3 year lifespan, how to build in, how to future-proof the content. And that was something we were really keen to do with this upgrade. The course, as I said, the feedback was good on ETIC 1.0, so we knew we were working with something that was solid. It was recognized by Jean in 2021 as part of their Global Education Awards. And then in Slovenia, the following year, it was awarded Best Project in the field of digitalization. And then we were lucky then in 2023 to get the funding for the second version. So on this slide, I just draw your attention to the left-hand side where the arrows are going down, and I'll talk to the right-hand slide after. This is just a little kind of illustration of how we progressed with the upgrade, how we progressed with the refresh. In summer 2023, we were a team of 4, one person from each organization, that were kind of I suppose, responsible for the refresh, for any rewriting, for kind of the administration management of the upgrade. So we were 4. And back in summer last year, we kind of undertook a systematic review of what was there. So we took the existing 8 sessions, and each of us went through each session and kind of gave feedback on what we felt was still relevant, what we felt was still strong, what we felt now was maybe missing, what we felt needed to be changed. So that was kind of very systematic review of what was there from each person's point of view. And that helped the new writers, because I was an original writer and so was Sarah, but there was 2 new writers. And that process of systematically reviewing helped them get on board and helped them kind of feel ownership of what was there. And from autumn to spring, then based on that review, we updated existing content. Some of it just needed like a bit of like refreshing. Some of it needed to be expanded out, to be kind of reframed, like given a wider lens. And then some of it just needed new content. So that digital literacy stuff and the algorithmic awareness stuff, that needed whole new process of rewriting those last 2 sessions. So that was kind of an undertaking of about 6 months. March to April of this year, we piloted it. So we piloted with about 25 pilot testers. So each of the organizations kind of pulled together like 8, 9 people that were willing to pilot it. And we drew on we kind of approached people within our networks, and we made sure we got a combination of audience types. So obviously the real focus was on young people, but we wanted to also draw in young people that may never have kind of had a GCE kind of contact with GCE in that kind of formal way. We didn't want people who were too familiar, but we wanted to see how it would go with people who are less familiar. And then we also kind of combined that with people who are a little bit older and also new to the content, or maybe coming from a different discipline. So we got a good combination of pilot testers, and they piloted that for us in March, April. We collated and reviewed that feedback again as a team of 4. We made adjustments in April. And then what's really significant is we had a second round of almost piloting. It wasn't piloting, but as a second round, we pulled together a panel of what we call critical friends. So there was six of them. Again, we pulled them from our existing networks. There was 3 that came from Comhlámh, and 3 came from the Czech Republic side. And these critical friends, we invited them to sample the course. And not to pilot it, but they were people who were coming with Global South backgrounds and with backgrounds in education and so in activism. And we were looking for them to read samples and to feedback on how they experienced the content. So it was a kind of a different pitch. With the pilot team in March, April, we were asking them, how did you find the content? What did you like? What was missing? What was surprising? How did you find this? We were, can you tell us more about your experience with the critical friends? It was more like, did this section, did it meet your expectations? Did it cover what you think needs to be covered for this topic? Was there anything in this content that irritated you, or that unsettled you? Can you imagine somebody reading this and feeling left out? Or can you imagine someone reading this and feeling frustrated? So it was a very different kind of pitch to them, and the feedback form we designed for them was also different. And our framing of their role and our invitation for them to join was also kind of very carefully constructed. So we gathered up that feedback, we collated that feedback, and then we made the adjustments again. So that kind of brought us to June, and we're kind of at the point now of having made the final adjustments. A couple of things that I could say, that's to the right of the slide now, about the process, was that from the beginning it was very systematic. And we took our time. It was very collaborative. So I was a writer, there was 3 others. Each of us had responsibility for writing this section or that section, but all of us then came in with feedback on the other sections. And all of the feedback, the way of feeding back to each other, was so generative and so encouraging, but so critical. And I think it was made easy because the vision, the original base of the course was very strong. So 1.0 was very clear, but I think it's gotten clearer in what it was trying to do. And so we were working off that vision, and that made it easy to kind of feed back to each other. The accompaniment of the pilot testers was really important. So it was really important to ask them how they experienced the content, because we wanted to see where they got challenged, where they got frustrated, where they felt dissatisfied. And once we were able to identify that, we were able to make adjustments to the content. We could work anticipation of that experience in to what we were offering. And in that, we were looking for patterns in what they were saying. Oh, okay, look, 15 said this, so clearly it's something, but also outliers. You know, the thing that maybe one person said, and really considering, okay, that one person said that, how does that fit? What do we do with that? The outlier type feedback being really important as well. And I was saying the critical friend feedback, the reading was such an important second level. And we were again able to make some really crucial adjustments based on what they fed back to us. Also, it was very generative, very encouraging, very critical. And just helps us feel like confident that we don't have every base covered, but we have a strong sense of generally how the different ways in which people might journey through this course, and that there will be sufficient encouragement and content there that will keep them going and keep them motivating to finish. Yeah, and as I said, ETIC 2, it's not quite perfect yet, hopefully by the end of the month, but it's ready to check out. You'll all be very welcome, and also welcome any feedback on the course as well.